I don't know it. Mike, do you know anything right now?
No, nothing at all right now.
Okay.
So hopefully is this going to come on? I mean, it says we're live, but
I see the little live button.
Yeah, but I don't see on our, let me refresh the YouTube. Hey, there it is. Okay. There it is. Okay. So I'll be back in like 3 minutes.
Okie dokie.
Okay, man. All right. So, what do you think he's doing right now? I think he's going to the bathroom.
Either that or my first guess was going to be getting a beer, but
that could be too. But it's okay on a weeknight too. I'm a soda myself.
Yeah, I enjoy a beer once in a while, but most of the time I stick to water. I drank so much Mountain Dew in college that caffeine just doesn't even faze me anymore. I mean, I make a pot of coffee in the morning, so I have a cup of coffee off when I go off to work, and then I usually have a bit left over to have a cup in the evening. But I literally will have like a cup of coffee at like 9 o'clock at night after my son goes to sleep, and it doesn't faze me in the slightest. My wife, on the other hand, she'll have like a chai at noon and she can't go to sleep. I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't hit me. So
yeah. Okay. Well, you built up an immunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long of a drive is it for you up to
Vallejo or Vallejo? However pedantic you want to be. It was, if we could have driven straight through, it was only about 6 hours, maybe 6.5. But it took us about 7 because we stopped a couple. I think on the way up we stopped once.
You stopped at, what was it, an airport or a ranch or?
Yeah. I wish I would remember what town that was in, but it's Harris Ranch was the name of the place, and they have their own little private strip. Airport, and I didn't see a tower around, so it's just open, and if I remember, I'm trying to remember if it was even paved. I think it was paved, but it was tiny. I think the guy said it was 2,400 feet was the runway. So I guess it's not super tiny, but certainly not a big runway.
Right.
But yeah, they have, and then they also have a hotel on site there. And it's funny, we were trying to look for places to stop off. I was driving, my dad was navigating, and so he's looking around. He pulls up this Harris Ranch place, and he's looking through it, and he finds out like all the different info about their rooms and this and that, and like the president, like their top end suite is like a 1,300 square foot room for $300 a night. I mean, it was
really
So I'm like, I want to go up there, and I want to fly my wife up there and have us, take a weekend out at this place.
That'd be awesome.
Maybe it was a good 4 hours into our drive. Could you see my son's head bob by there? My wife.
Hello.
What are you guys getting? So, yeah, it was not a place that I would want to drive to necessarily again. Because it was quite a long drive, probably about halfway. But flying up there, I mean, they've got their own runway. Fly in,
right,
and stay there for the weekend.
So do you have your private?
I have my private. I haven't flown in a while. I have.
Okay.
I think I flew once since my check ride.
Oh wow.
Which I took when I was 17. Which is as soon as you can take it. I sold it on my 16th birthday.
Yeah, and then so did I.
And then check ride on 17.
Cool.
Yeah, I soloed before I got my driver's license, and then failed my driver's test. Only the first time. I passed it the second time.
Cool.
All right, guys. Do we want to get this thing started?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. So, you want me to introduce, or do you want to introduce, Pat?
You can introduce.
Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Flight Test Community Podcast, episode number 28 with Ben Harber. from Flight Fest West. He's going to give us all the down low and the goodies and everything about how it went. So, Ben, I want to say thanks. And I also want to introduce Pat Murphy. Patrick.
Hello.
So we hate to say it, but Joel won't be with us tonight. He's got a family member not feeling well and may have to go have some things done, and we want to pray for him. So everybody send a little prayer for Joel and his family. So
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. So anyway, let's get this thing going. Ben, thank you so much for coming on, buddy.
My pleasure.
So
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
Well, I was kind of getting everything ready before we got started, and I heard you telling Pat that it was a very long drive out to Vallejo. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I swindled my dad. Asked kindly to come with me, and he hasn't taken a vacation in a while, so he agreed to come on, and we drove up together. It was a good fun time. He doesn't fly, but he loves obviously watching planes and everything. So he brought a few books, and we drove up there. It was about a 7-hour drive with a stop or two for gas and potty breaks, and then it was funny. We rolled in. We thought we were going to get in later in the afternoon, and we actually got there before registration even started letting people in. So we got there and then had to sit around outside the gate before they let people in.
Yeah.
But then they started, sitting us all down and sort of doling out campsites, and that's when I met Nate Naterator or Nate Dog.
Nathan Knight.
Nathan Knight.
Nathan Knight.
Yeah.
There you go.
With the disco wing.
Yes,
boombox
with
wing.
the boombox, the Rickroll wing, the Top Gun wing, depending on the sound module.
Yeah, pretty cool.
The videos really didn't do it justice. I mean, it was kind of hard to hear it. He'd have to go up real high on the left and then dive down so that he could cut the throttle as he flew overhead.
Okay.
Because it's a pretty big prop on that thing, and it would almost overpower some of the sound. Especially the jet noise was cool, and but yeah, it was funny if he was going too fast as he flew by. The Doppler effect would put the sound all out of tune, so it would sound like a really bad boombox flying by. Like something was wrong on the tape. It's like, that doesn't sound right.
Interesting. I would not have thought of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was fun. But yeah, the drive up, it was good. And the first night there was windy, really windy, and cold. But we survived and woke up the next morning. And the whole thing was, I don't know. My first Flight Fest was last year. So the third year running, for them. But I've followed the first two, and I imagine that this was similar in scope and learning experience as maybe the second one.
Okay.
Not quite as small as the first, because the first was, obviously grassroots, first time out.
Yeah.
Everything's a learning experience. But this definitely felt bigger than that, but still a lot of things to learn. They didn't have their big PA system that they could bring with them. So Andre was awesome, taking notes and taking suggestions and rolling with the punches.
Okay.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
He's somewhere between Detroit and Toronto right now?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, he's flying now?
He's flying back, yeah.
Back.
Yeah. Flying back today. Yeah. So you said about 7 hours. That's quite a while in California in that traffic.
Well, luckily we left at about 6 a.m. We got on the road, so we had a little bit of LA traffic, but we were through the bulk of the basin before rush hour, and so we got out of there, and then it was just the rest of the 5 all the way up.
Yeah.
Well, it's just the fact that California is darn huge.
Yeah, no,
when you go that way.
yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it takes me about 13 hours to get from where I live out to Ohio, so it's quite the drive. But yeah, no, man, there's so much I want to talk to you about. I mean, I really don't even know where to start. Your C-17 was just unbelievable. That plane was so beautiful.
That you chose the right word there was.
Yeah, no, I saw.
So that's as good a place to start as any. I actually posted about it in my C-17 thread, and someone hadn't watched the vlog, and he was like, "What do you mean salvage operation?" But I saved the nose and tail here.
Oh, cool.
So I had. I was just walking around to people, different flight test crews, and ask them nose or tail. And so I got, I think Bixler signed the nose. Actually, he signed right up on top, right next to my dad.
Yeah.
And then I got a bunch of the ladies signed on the tail, and Stefan and whole crew. So those will go somewhere, place of honor.
Yeah, absolutely.
I swear I used up all my mojo flying that thing the first day out, because that first flight on Friday morning just could not have gone smoother. It went just like the maiden, except for the landing.
Oh wow, we just lost Pat. I don't know what happened to him, but no, he'll be back.
Okay.
I'm sure he's having trouble with his headphones. So
okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I watched the video of the first flight even before Flite Fest, but at Flite Fest, I was really surprised you got it off the ground, even with that, that, what is it? The
geotextile.
Yeah, the geotex. Yeah. The geotex on the runway. I was like, man, I hope that thing gets off the ground. And, and you was getting pretty close to the end of the runway, and it finally come up, and I was like, oh my God. I'm so happy.
Hey, I'm back, guys.
Sorry I see that. That's okay. I figured you probably had some kind of issue and you was going to come back in.
Yeah, dude, that thing took up the whole runway. It looked like taking off. I was nervous.
I was nervous as well.
I probably could have taken off a little shorter had I punched the throttle sooner, but I was just real ginger with throttling up. I was after the first flight when I put it full throttle up in the air and it fried those wires and cut out power. I was nervous, even though I rewired everything with a larger gauge and silicone coated, and it had 4 brand new ESCs. I still obviously was a little bit nervous about just flooring it and taking off. But yeah, it got up, and yeah, it was good.
It was beautiful, man. Yeah. I'm telling you, it was beautiful.
Dude, that thing has such a presence in the air. I mean, it looks like a C-17. Mm-hmm. If you just saw, I mean, that one picture that somebody posted, it was kind of, looked like it was in a bit of a haze or something.
Yeah.
It looked like a C-17.
Was that on? Yeah, that was on the thread. He posted it was like an overhead shot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, except for well, and I'm going to be, picky about it because I know C-17s, but except for, well, I can be picky because I built the thing. Except for the little sliver of sunlight coming through the flap slot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's the only thing that gives it away, at least to me. Everything else, everything else, even to my eye, it's like that's a C-17.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Dude, you've hit a couple of home runs with builds this year. The C-17, the baby Bugatti.
Yeah, they've been
You're
fun.
on fire, man.
Oh, so good segue on that one. I set up. I'm ready for you guys, except for the back of my head. I'll build another one, but this one, someone hit me.
Oh no!
Oh, you got a prop slicer in there. Look at that.
Yeah, we were coming along, and it was a wing, and I was trying to get out of his way, and maybe he was trying to get out of my way, but he came down on top of me and just sliced my tail right off and went into the ground.
No, man.
So for those of you who are listening, Ben's holding up his baby Bugatti and showing us that he's got a bit of a, I don't know, looks like it was attacked by a samurai.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
An angry swordsman, and we know that guy.
Yeah.
It's a good flyer, though. That one's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
You got to give it a good baseball toss to launch it, though. It doesn't like to go slow.
Yeah, we saw Joshua Orchard's baby Bugatti that he built, and I saw it fly as well. And man, that's impressive. I really like the lines and everything of that plane. I think I may have to build one of them little ones like that.
They're definitely fun. And quick to build too.
I was excited, about the baby Bugatti. What?
No, you just stopped.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you froze.
No. I was excited about the baby Bugatti, and I was asking Josh Orchard about how it flies, and he said it flies like stink, and I'm like, oh, that's disappointing. And he's like, no, that's a good thing. So apparently, flying like stink is a good thing.
Yeah.
So that's your endorsement. It flies like stink.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means, but okay.
Yeah,
it's better than it stinks flying.
Yeah. That's just really cool design, and it does look like it goes together pretty quick and everything. So I'm excited about that one, and eventually going to get that one in my hangar, because that's a cute little airplane.
Yeah, that's cool. Very cool. Yeah. So
I'm excited.
I feel like we're just. So we in terms of talking to you, you've just gotten to the Flite Fest West. You roll in, you're there a little early, you set up your camp. What you got there on, what was it, Thursday or Wednesday?
Afternoon.
Wednesday. Okay. Yeah. So were there a lot of people there at that point, or very few, or how did
it was pretty sparse. It was pretty sparse showing up. I think we were like the 12th person there. Sorry, my wife just texted me and it popped up on my screen.
All good.
Yes, Bazinga. So yeah, we were like the 12th person there. Camper showed up, and then about twice as many people showed up after us by the time they opened the doors. So it's pretty light. Most of the campers, a few RVs. And actually, by that point, probably half and half, campers and RVs. But the campsite was really nice. At least, like where we were at, the closer spot, it was like literally right up the hill from the Flightline show center, where the main tent was, and a main pop-up, and then the main Flightline. They had two runways set up for more, intermediate advanced, and then further down was the beginner flight line. And
okay,
the camping areas pretty much just span that whole the whole area right parallel to the flight line. So we got camping there and got set up, got to wander around the expo hall a little bit while they were setting up. I got to meet Wayne and the guys from Aloft Hobbies, because they're 30 minutes away, like right around the corner in Novato, I think.
Okay.
And so I got to say a big thank you to him, because he, when I was installing one of my little red bottom motors, one of the motors I used on the Angry Bee, when I was installing it on a test wing, I screwed the darn screw in too far because I didn't put enough washers behind it, because I had a thin firewall, and killed the motor. And he was nice enough to just send me a motor and help me out.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
So I shook his hand and said a big thanks for that, and then after he sent me that, I just ordered another one, and that's what started the whole Angry Bee obsession. Because then I had two. Originally, I was just gonna use one of those motors and make a super fast combat wing.
Okay.
And then I had another motor, and I wind up with, and now I'm like at two. I gotta make, what do I have? What can I make with two? And I'm like, Super Bee.
Yeah. And you were flying that on a 6S?
Yeah.
That's insane, dude.
This is a fun one. This is the Angry Bee.
Yeah. I know that thing was fast, and it sure made a lot of noise.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we got the red bottoms, and then it's got 6S under there. I actually haven't even weighed it, so I don't know what it weighs, but it is heavy. Because it's
what
got
size 6S is that?
it's a 1550.
1550.
1556 cell, and then both of the speed controllers are opto speed controllers because I got them from a quad store. Got them from Get FPV.
Okay.
And they're great speed controllers, but they're opto, so I needed this DEC. So I've got a voltage regulator plugged into a little 500 milliamp 2 cell up in the nose.
Dude, okay. For the servos?
Yeah, for the servos and the receiver.
And the arcs, yeah.
But then even that wasn't enough to get the CG right. So I actually have a few like pieces of sheet lead stuffed up in the nose underneath the underneath the little receiver battery.
So that thing's basically a cruise missile. I mean, it's just flat out.
It's like the flight test version. I like to say like the my sloper here, that's the called the Zephyr.
Okay.
And when I fly slope, we go to a place called Point Furman, and they're known for what you call lead sleds.
Okay.
They're like 60 to 100 ounce gliders, and they go 100 plus mile an hour. Yeah, and so I think the Angry Bee is like the lead sled of flight test right now.
That's awesome.
Dude, that's so cool.
And it carves. Like I was telling Dan, like a huge thank you for the design, him and Josh working that out, because it's a stock build. Other than the crazy power that I put into it, it's completely stock. I didn't put any carbon rods, anything else in it.
Wow.
It's a speedboat kit right out of their store. I put on some aluminum tape just for funness,
for looks,
but but I didn't do anything else inside. It's the foam spars, the whole deal, and I cartwheeled it like 3-4 times on the landing because it doesn't want to slow down.
Right. And, well, yeah, it's so heavy.
Yeah. as long as I hit the geotex and slid it in on the geotex runway, it would slide and it would land just fine. But if I cut any of that grass, it just would spin off into oblivion. Yeah, I think
that thing was awesome.
Busted props every time.
Yeah, it was.
I've got a handful and just change them like shotgun shells.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Props are cheap, right?
Yeah. And somebody actually towards, I think it was on Friday, maybe Thursday night, someone in the quad tent, there was, so let me talk a little bit about the setup they had. They had, so at East last year, you had 3 build tents, right? In a 2 build tents, and then the store, and then another build tent on the other side of the stem tent, and then aisleway with, anyway, that. So at West, they've got the big expo hall, which is at the far end, the north end of the whole layout, and in there was just covered in tables, and every table had power, a ton of power, and that was sort of like all around the outside. In one corner was their store, and then one corner was some tables that were set aside for STEM and the group build series, like the little arrow build, and then right in the middle was just some like blocked off areas for the vendors, but then the rest of it all around was all build tables with power everywhere. And then inside was also where the first aid was, and the volunteer corner. But then outside they had another, right next to the hall, they had the family tent with all the games and stuff. Next to that was another build tent. And then next to that was Emacs and High Tech. High Tech had the charging. High Tech was doing charging for everybody. They had their free chargers running the whole week. And then next to them, further south, was another tent set up specifically for FPV, a sort of an FPV build tent. So that was mostly quads, but some fixed wing. But that was sort of where they was funnel everyone. Like if you want to go and do any kind of FPV on your build, then go there and they'll help you do power up and do all that troubleshooting so that you're not stepping on people's frequencies and all that.
Sure. Dan Spawnholes has got a question for you.
Okay.
He wants to know what props you used on the Angry Bee on that 6S.
That used 4x4.5 two blade.
Oh, 4x4.5 two blade. Were they blunt nose or?
No, they're not. They're
No.
HQ prop, but I don't think they're blunt nose. I mean, they're not the like super high efficiency the APC props, but they're not like bull nose.
That? Or bull nose, I mean. They're not like that?
They're not No, they're not squared off.
Okay.
They're not bull nose.
Okay.
They've got a little bit of sweep to them. A little bit of shape. When I was building it, somebody somebody was watching what I was doing and said, "Oh, here, you want some 3 blades for that?" And I'm like, "No.
No.
I don't need 3 blades." Then I told them what I was doing. They're like, "Oh, okay." Oh, and I just remembered, I didn't have my telemetry hooked up on the Angry Bee when I ran it, but on my combat wing, I called it my war wing, which was using the same power setup, but just a one times, just one motor and everything. But same battery, same speed controller, same motor, and same props. I had inline 40 amp current volt sensor for my Free Sky.
Okay.
Run telemetry down, and I just downloaded telemetry yesterday, and I was looking through it, and I recorded the telemetry from one of the combats that I flew with that wing. So one side of the Angry Bee is pulling about 30 amps at full throttle.
Wow.
Yeah. So the 35 amp speed controller is right in the right spot.
Yeah. Do you like have a feel for how fast that thing was going? Do you have any idea?
I really don't, but I have a bad feel for that stuff. But guys that do it was definitely over 100 because my SK3 racer, I had a pitot tube on that one during the race, and I recorded the telemetry, and that one at full throttle, just cruising around, was doing 97.
Oh wow!
Wow! And you won the race.
Yeah, and I won the race.
Yeah, congrats!
Thanks. So that was fun too. But so that one was. Yeah, I got. I've got the trophy. I've got to glue it back together because
I was going to ask you if you broke it on the way home.
No, it didn't break on the way home. It broke before I left.
Before you even left, huh? Yeah.
But it didn't really break. And it's not a knock on. Is it Tim? Was that his name? Aviator 08.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't remember anyone's real name. But no, he printed. He made this cool, little like. This is, I think this one's the Spirit model.
Yeah.
He actually made this one for the endurance race, but we didn't do the endurance race, so he let me pick which one I wanted.
That's awesome.
The other trophy was a Corsair, but I liked the Spirit better because it's more in the time period.
Oh, sweet.
That's
but
awesome.
he made, so obviously this is printed in a few pieces of blue, and then he put it together, and then he made the black base, and then hot glued them together. And so I set it on the dash of my truck as we're packing up and putting all the camping gear away, and it just cooks under the windshield, and then it just sort of like fell out. Just melted the hot glue.
Yeah, so hot glue is not that good inside a vehicle on a hot day.
Yeah, in a little greenhouse.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Right.
But yeah, no. So back to that, the Angry Bee. If my SK3 was going almost 100, just running flat out, then passes with the Angry Bee, it had to have been doing 110, 120.
Wow.
I mean,
man, I know when that thing went by, it was hard to keep up with when they were filming it. I do know that.
Yeah. The most fun I had with it was the last day on Saturday. I was flying it. I think it was the last flight that I did with the Angry Bee. I was just doing circuits, and someone else on the line. He wasn't near me, but someone else was flying a fast wing, pusher prop, and I noticed him starting to follow me around the pattern, And so I'm just, flying, and then he would kind of cut the corner and get in front of me. And it's pulling, like 30 amps at full throttle. So I don't fly at full throttle, full out the whole time. One, I would just probably break my transmitter from holding it too hard, but also you run that out, it's going to last for like a minute. So I'll throttle back, on the turns, and then do a high speed pass. But so he would come in and cut the corner as I would, take the turn a little slower. And then he's like, all right, I can just hear him, he's like, all right, I got ahead. And then as I pull out of the corner, I just floor it, and it goes, right in front. And then he cuts the corner again, and then I throttle up again and come back a bunch of rounds.
Yeah, well, I saw the video of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't post it yet, but I did do a supercut I put together all the clips of just the Angry Bee. So I have to upload that.
Did you? Yeah, you have to upload that. That'd be cool.
It's a lot shorter, so if anyone wants to see just that bit, you don't have to slog through my vlog.
Yeah, no.
Vlogs are great. I really enjoy them.
Everybody ought to watch all those vlogs.
Thanks.
I wasn't going to feel about this whole Flight Fest West thing not being there, but like I had part of the experience just watching some of the, like your vlog, and there's the guy Demo 7 I spy on YouTube, and another guy, I think I'm screwing up his name, but it was like Steven's Planes or Airplanes or something like that. Those three of you guys did a real good job, and made me feel like I was there a little bit. So thank you.
Yeah. No, I'm still jealous because I felt like I've been there helping, but I don't know. It's different not being there when like Pat and I've been to every one out in Ohio, and always been there helping and all that, and to see a lot of the people that we have seen at these, and then of course Andre, and then you and everybody else, and we're going, man, I really need to be there. I mean, I
this
tried.
Really sucks.
I tried to find a way to get to California, for my work, because I travel so much anyway. I was calling all my guys out in California. You need some help out there, right? You need me, right? And nobody needed me, and I felt kind of really, disheartened because no one needed me. And
hey.
I see a Joel.
Hey, Joel joined.
Hey, guys.
How are you, Joel?
For the brief interruption, but I just wanted to pop in and say we got some good news from my grandfather.
Okay, good.
So,
good.
So still on standby, could change at a moment's notice, but he's doing good. So thank you.
Okay, great.
Good. Perfect.
Awesome.
But Ben, thank you for coming on the show, man.
My pleasure.
So I'll let you guys get back to it, but I just wanted to pop in. Hey, everyone.
Are you walking Bruno?
I am.
Of course he's walking Bruno.
Okay. Hi, Bruno.
Bruno's not in doggy jail today.
It's the little break that I get while I'm sitting at home and watching my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, we understand, brother.
Well, all the best, dude.
Well, I'll let you guys get back to it. Thank you for letting me interrupt.
Oh, anytime, Joel. You just take care of yourself, and we'll keep prayers for your family, buddy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, buddy.
See you, Joel.
See ya.
Did he go?
He's not gone yet, but that's okay.
He's lurking.
He's lurking.
Yeah, he's a lurker.
He's creepy little lurker.
It's all good. It's all good. So anyway,
it's cool that his grandfather's doing good.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Absolutely.
Definitely.
So, where were we at?
Well, we were talking about how we should have been at Flight Fest West.
Right.
but I mean, I wasn't there, and to be honest with you, looking at your vlog and a couple other people's and seeing the photos coming through and all that, I'm glad everybody had a good time, and I'm glad the weather was cooperative. Yeah, I guess it was a little cold the first morning is what you said, but after that it seemed to be pretty good. Yeah,
it was, the first night was windy and a little cold, but waking up, I mean, you're not going to get away from that. You're a stone's throw from the Pacific Ocean, and so it's going to be cold in the morning. Unless it's like the dead of summer, and even then up there, it's still going to probably be chilly in the mornings. But So yeah, it took a little while to warm up in the morning, but Thursday morning I did, before the volunteer and the pilot meeting. Nate and I made some time to get out there and get an early flight in while it was calm. Because I brought a few slopers. I brought the Zephyr behind me. I didn't get to fly that one, but it was a fun conversation piece. But then I also brought a big flying wing that I have called a Z1. It's a 6-foot molded carbon Kevlar sloper, and it's a beautiful wing. If you have a chance to look it up, it's zupair.com. Check out the Z1. I don't think he makes them anymore, but they're around. It's super thin, and it's just real high aspect ratio wing. So I put a power pod on it so that I could fly it at the field. And so I would just power that first morning. I just powered up. That's the opener, I think, of the Thursday vlog. So I just powered up there, and then just soar around and look for thermals and really just relax. It's a good way to start the morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Were there any issues with the highway being right on the other side of the track area, and the wind was kind of blowing that way?
There were I only heard of one incident, and then I think Nate posted that he heard of another one, so call it 2 total. But I think the one he was mentioning was that someone got close, and I think I heard of one person that actually got blown onto the highway.
Okay.
I didn't see it. I wasn't there. But if you were flying that far out, I mean, something had gone wrong sooner than that.
Okay.
I mean, it's quite a distance away. It's the distance from the flight line to the trees, and then there's a highway on the other side of that, and there's actually a pretty big shoulder on the other side of the trees before you get to the highway proper. The distance there is comparable to the distance at FlyFest, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
So you've got a lot of depth to fly on the field.
Gotcha.
And so it was.
Get a perspective looking at the video that I saw, because it's looking directly across, and you can see the traffic on the highway, but
the depth there, it's quite a ways. I mean, you definitely, you someone did, but it wasn't an epidemic thing. It wasn't a recurring problem. It was, like I said, 1 or 2 isolated incidents, and probably someone just, looked away and looked back and lost sight of their plane or something. Who knows what happened?
Yeah, I've experienced that before.
For the most part,
we've seen things like that happen.
Yeah. For the most part, the bigger challenge, I think, for everyone was the wind. Just in general, being it was just a little more turbulent than people are used to. But there's a big tree line behind the flight line, which kind of acted as a windbreak. So if you stayed, if you were flying in close, if you stayed low, then you were out of most of the turbulence. So any of the beginner people could fly close in stuff and stay out of trouble. But if you flew out over the field, right on the deck, it was real turbulent, because you got thermals coming off of the grass in different areas, and then the wind coming over the trees causing this hammerhead, and there were some weird currents in places. But it makes for an exciting flight.
Yeah, that's right.
It makes better pilots out of people.
That's right.
It's like flying behind my house.
The mornings and the early afternoons were pretty calm, and then it would kick up in the afternoon, evening, which is typical of coastal California. So
yeah, like would you say that they would hold the event there again if they went back to California? I mean, were there that I've seen a couple of comments online where people were saying a couple of things about, I'm not sure what their issue was with the location.
But I missed one or two words.
No, I was asking, would you see them having it there again, or do you think they would look for another spot? Because I saw a couple of people post something about location, but I'm not really sure what they weren't happy about.
Okay. I think they would. I mean, having that expo hall there was really, really convenient, and nice to be able to get out of the sun. Nice central place for people to really build. I mean, you had probably 2.5 build tents, maybe even 3 build tents worth of tables, inside that building, and it's a lot more centralized. And so, at least for volunteers, we can just wander around there and help people out, and even for people asking for help, you're not just limited to a 50 by 100, or even just a 50 by 20 section of your tent where you're you just have ready help, where there's a lot more around. And the camping is real convenient, and the flight line really, it was just different. But the field itself is not a bad place to fly. It was a really beautiful place to fly. Okay. I think if they went there again, if I were Flight Test, I might ask if they could maybe trim some of the trees down that are out in the field, not the ones behind, not the ones behind you, but the ones out in the field. And maybe not over at the FPV end, because that's fun obstacles for them to fly around. But on the main flight line, there were a few sparse, pretty stick-looking trees that were gnarly, and I didn't. Yeah. I luckily stayed out of them, but they ate a few.
Oh, did they? The Charlie Brown tree.
Yeah, I saw the one guy's vlog where he was flying. He hit it with his Optera, and I guess it basically destroyed it.
Oh man, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah,
I can imagine. But there's a lot more room to expand to the south end of the field, being that the expo hall and the RV parking and the main camping, or the early camper setup, is all up at the north end. People kind of tended to clump up and congregate towards that end, and I think if they figure out some way to to bring more stuff down and spread it out more along towards the south end, and there's a big I didn't even notice until almost the end of the week when I went and walked down to the far end, because that's where the showers were. Because the track used to be, it's a horse race track.
Right.
It used to be. There's a giant grandstand still there at the south end. And so there's a great opportunity to do more stuff down there and expand. There's a lot more room down there that I don't think was really used, because they had the intermediate advanced runway at the north end, or sort of at the middle, because the FPV was all the way at the north end, and then the intermediate advanced was sort of in the middle, and then the beginners were at the south end. And maybe if they flip that, put the beginners in the middle and funnel all the advanced guys past them, I think maybe you'd get more of the advanced guys, sticking around to help the beginners.
Yeah.
And then and then having to walk down to the south end, you have more room to fly down there. I don't know. Just spitballing, but there's a lot of. I think there's a lot of room to grow there.
Awesome.
I think they made really good use of it, but I think there's more that they can do with it, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
Did anybody hear how many pilots and spectators they had?
No, I didn't get that number.
No. Yeah.
I heard I heard at some point, and I don't remember which day this was, but somebody asked Josh that question, and I think it was in the 500 to 700 range, if I recall.
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
I heard it was like 500 plus, but I never really got any kind of numbers, so I didn't.
Pilots.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, that's great for the first time being. That's and say what you want. I mean, Flight Test is a company, and they're trying to make money, and I think Flight Fest is a huge opportunity for them to make. I mean, they spend a lot of money going out and doing all this stuff, but I think there's a lot of money to be made there, and I think hopefully they definitely made some money and just didn't break even. At least that's what I hope for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's. just thinking about the logistics of going out there for a few days like that, packing up an entire store's worth of stuff, putting it in one truck, getting it out there, getting it set up, getting it broken down, getting it back. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Hurt.
Yeah, all the logistics in general. I mean, because you've got, you're relying on the community to help with, with all the volunteering and you just never know. I mean, in Ohio, I think they know. I can't wait to see how Ohio goes this year because of Flite Festival.
Because of what? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not because I think it's going to change anything other than maybe the amount of people that show up. That's my only. I don't want to say worry, but it is a concern to me.
Right. I suspect we won't see the number of West Coast people.
Yeah, exactly. Which kind of brings me to a question for you, Ben. Are you going to try to make Ohio this year, or no?
I am actually trying really hard to do what you were trying to do and swindle schedule my work, some work trips. I don't want to talk about it too much because there's some cool partnership or other stuff that could happen with that. But so I'm trying to make that happen.
Awesome. Because we would love to have you out there and make sure you're around all the crazy folks that we hang out with.
I gotta hang out with you, man.
I gotta bring some parts and build an A4 out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that one was
speaking of
a ton of fun.
That thing sounds amazing.
Yes,
that one's fun. Yeah. The best part was the last flight when I got to hand Josh the transmitter and have him finally fly it.
I saw the smile on his face and listening to that thing was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, and I love the explanation you gave about, because the thrust tube's so long in the thing that, how all you can really hear is the air.
Yeah. And that's all it's not based on any real analysis or anything smart. It's just after I got asked the question so many times, I figured, well, I guess I better think about this. The number of layers of foam between the motor and the outside right there in the center, there's probably at least 3 layers of foam, at least to the side and the bottom, right where the EDF mounts. And then it's so like I was saying, it's so far up in the thing, and it's got this long, probably a 20-inch thrust tube. That's just poster paper, typical. It's very FT style, FT build. It's got the crease fold over wing, boxy fold up fuselage, single surface tails. Everything sort of tabs and slots all together.
What size EDF do you have in that?
It's a 70 millimeter.
70. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Part of the sound is that it's a 12 blade. It's a 12 blade EDF.
Yep.
Which the more blades, adds to that sound. But even on other installations where I've seen like an 11 or 12 blade installation, they still have a little bit of whine to them. You can still hear the motor. And this one, you can't at all, which surprised me just as much as anyone. And I was telling Josh, I want to do some experimenting with it to see if you still get that sound with like a 6 blade, something that's more, because a 10 or a 12 blade, those fans usually are more expensive, and they don't actually give you as much speed or punch. They're a less efficient fan at the RC scale. Just because you put that many blades close together at the Reynolds number, it's not. But after a certain point, it's not buying you anything except for cool sound and looks, which I'm all for.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why I did it. But if if you could get that sound and even more performance out of this jet with a 5 or a 6 blade, then that's something that I want to try and experiment with. Because his eyes definitely lit up when he flew it. You know, he told me, he's like, hey, I'm not a jet guy, but that made my day. And I'm like, are you kidding? You made my day.
Yeah, we could tell. I mean, I'm telling you, when I was watching the video, I could see the smile, and his eyes really got big, and he was like, yeah, I like this. Well, you've done a hell of a job, you know, just in the designs and everything that you've done, and it's so amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. It's like I said, man, you've hit some home runs with your builds.
Yeah,
awesome.
He really has.
I'd hope so. It's part of what I do for a living.
That's why we want you out in, you know, Ohio so bad, so we can hang out and maybe learn something from you.
Yeah. I want my goal is I want to get out there, and I want to get my dad out there because he needs to run the barbecue.
Awesome. Yeah, he made some good looking meals out there, man.
Yeah. Yeah, the cinnamon rolls were fantastic. That was awesome. I laughed because I could see my old man back when he was still with us doing something like that.
Yeah, throughout the day, I'd hand him my phone if I was flying or doing something and I want him to get some video. But sometimes I just would forget, but he still had his phone, so he would be taking video, and then I'd be off flying, and he's back at the camp just chilling. And so he would airdrop me a bunch of his videos from the day
cool.
At when we were going to bed, and so then I would cut it together and then set it uploading overnight or before I went to bed, and so when I saw that video, I was just like, oh, this is too good.
That's awesome. So was the phone coverage out there pretty decent?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so much better in Ohio, man. I'm telling you, I never get good, cell service out there.
Yeah. That last 2 years, AT&T has been pretty solid out there. The first year, not so much.
Yeah, first year I didn't have any coverage.
Nope.
I didn't fly down there, but I was told that at the south end, at the very far end, there actually was a cell tower there that was interfering with some people's signals. If you flew just in the wrong arc area band, like basically probably right in the cone of one of the transmitters, your plane just died. Whatever orientation it was in, it just kept going.
That's kind of like the oil pump in Ohio. Do not fly around the oil pump.
I don't know what it is, but I've seen a lot of people lose their signal over that thing.
Yes, sir.
So, the question, Ben, about there being plans for the A4. Now, I think there's plans because I did them a couple of days ago.
Wait, plans for what?
The A4.
For the A4.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, I've got there's plans for on my thread. It started as a tractor prop, so if you want to build that, those are there too. But the most up-to-date, latest ones are the EDF plans.
Okay, yeah. One of the guys on our YouTube, as they're watching, they're asking if there was some out there. So,
yes,
so
sir.
Dirt Kid 55, you got plans out there on the forum? Go out there and find them and build that plane, buddy.
Yeah, I think the thread is titled something like "I want to fly an A4 at Flite Fest."
There you go.
And that was actually started last year before last Flite Fest. Is when I started designing it.
And I remember it being there. I hand launched it for you.
That's right. You're the dude.
And it flew right out of my hand, man. That thing was awesome.
That's great.
Fantastic.
It did fly faster as a tractor prop, but that's because I had like a 10x10 pulling it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I didn't have to throw it. It just kind of went.
It was gnarly.
That's awesome.
But it didn't have the sound.
Yeah, no, that thing's got to sound so unique and really cool. I really like that one.
And the videos that I saw of it really picked up that sound. I mean, it does. It sounds like a turbine.
Yeah.
All you hear is that whoosh.
Yeah.
Whine.
It's fun.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's one of the bad things about those, you know, the EDFs is they really have just an ugly screaming sound, and that thing sounded so cool when it went by.
It was my favorite one to fly.
You mentioned something a couple of minutes ago about it being what you do for a living. What do you do for a living?
I am a configurator for Boeing.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay. Okay.
For in Boeing Research and Technology specifically.
Oh, wow.
Awesome, dude.
Well, no wonder he's so good at designing airplanes.
He's a professional.
Exactly. It's kind of like Josh Finn.
Yeah. Dr. Finn.
Yeah, Dr. Finn. No kidding. Yeah. Well, I have to start calling him Dr. Ben now.
That's right.
Get those.
So what do you do as a configurator?
It really is very much like building an FT plane or designing it. I mean, I get to CAD model and, you know, work out the design for an airplane from the whole airplane level. I'm like the Renaissance man of the engineers, where I don't get to know, you know, I don't need to know the fine details about any one of the disciplines, but I need to know enough to know, you know, where I need help, and I need to make sure that I've got the right people engaged, or that I engage with the right people, you know, like aero, mass properties, propulsion, structures, and I need to get all of them, you know, tied into the design process, and then make them all equally unhappy.
So you're the guy that upsets everybody.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
So you're kind of like
one of my mentors, or early on, one of the guys, you know, show me the ropes of configuration, said, "Ben, it's our job to draw the first wrong answer."
So
And the second and a third, but yeah.
So you're dealing with like mechanical space coordination within the envelope of the airframe, systems integration, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Okay. They can,
if we get that far. A lot of because I work in BR&T, a lot of the stuff that we work on is concept, and so it's very short turn and not high detail, but fast paced, and, you know, so it's good for me because I get bored quick. So
yeah, I can relate.
But that's why I come home and I do all this stuff, because, you know, we don't really build airplanes in my corner of the company. But I get to do a lot of design and brainstorming, and so then I come home and I actually get to build stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And fly stuff.
Nice. Very nice.
So, yeah, that's pretty cool. You get to take your work stuff and actually apply it to something that you do for fun. Keeps you kind of on your toes a little bit, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then it makes me kick myself even harder when they don't fly. I should know how to do this.
Yeah, now we can give you a hard time about it. If you got something that doesn't fly, we can go, come on, dude, that's what what are you doing?
Yeah.
Dude, that's really cool, man.
That is.
Flite Fest West, there were a lot of out there.
A lot of what? I missed that one.
A lot of large builds out there.
Yes.
Large planes that were brought in.
Of various type, like very different large planes too.
Seemed like, you know, out at Flite Fest the last 3 years, there's been like 1, 2, maybe last year 3, 4 big planes, but out there it seemed like they just like proliferated out there. So it's kind of like, you know, they've thrown down the gauntlet for big builds at Flite Fest East. So let's see how people react and see what they do to meet or exceed.
Yeah, I admit I had my doubts about that 500% Super B taken off from go-kart, because it was actually their second attempt, because their first attempt they didn't even get out onto the runway. They had some technical problems on the flight line, and but then their second attempt they actually got it out there and they started running, and like half the motors on the right wing just stopped spinning, but they kept pushing, they kept rolling, and then as it got past me, you could see the magic smoke come out of something on the left wing, and I'm like, oh, that's not good. And I figured that was it. I mean, it's got 10 motors. What are they going to go do? Buy 10 more? But I guess Emax must have helped them out, sponsored them. So like later that day, I think they had it back out, and it was the weirdest thing. I'm looking at them like they're not driving fast enough, and then all of a sudden they just sort of like shove it off the cart and it just flies.
It looked like it took a little bit for it to get in the air for sure.
Yeah, but then once it was in the air, it was like, oh well, that flies just fine.
Yeah,
and it flew great. It had a great presence in the air. It was really cool. I had more video of it flying in circles, but I only put like a couple of clips in my vlog because all of the other footage I had, you couldn't tell any different. It was just, it looked like a plane in the sky. Right. So I put like the one zoomed in clip, and then the more interesting one was watching it land, because then you can actually see the scale and the scope of the thing.
Yep.
As it lumbers into the grass and
it looked like it was lumbering a little bit. It sure did.
Yeah, it definitely was. But that was cool.
A good ways too.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, there was a lot of mass there.
That's right.
Yeah. And then Nate's giant wing. Yeah, that thing flew awesome. I'm so thank you, Nate, if you watch this later, for letting me throw it. That was fun, even though I probably almost pulled a muscle. But yeah, that thing, that was solid. I mean, I just hucked it and then he throttled up and it was no problem.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a really nice looking wing. I like the plan form of it, and he did some cool graphics on it too.
Yeah.
Music.
Yeah.
Yes. Not to mention it plays music.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. That, because when I first heard that danger zone, I was like, what is it? Oh my God, that's that wing. That was really neat. Really, really neat. So what other big builds did you see out there besides those two?
Well, there was, I think his name is Damien, DMORC. He had his four plane wing.
I saw a picture of that, but I never saw it fly.
Yeah, I saw it fly on his channel, but I didn't get to see it fly. I don't know where the heck I was, but he flew it there, and it flew great. And then he flew it in smaller portions as he broke parts of the wing spar. But what else was there? There's a big P61, I think, and then there was another big something. Oh, well, there was the B52.
Right.
Big boxy B52. The didn't look much, on the ground, to be honest, but once it got up in the air, it was just so cool because it was so huge. I mean, it's just a giant wing on that thing, and it fly. And he was not being nice with it. I mean, he was really muscling it around the sky, and it flew fine.
Wow.
Cool.
There was a big build that didn't fly. I don't know what it was, but there's some pictures of it sitting under its pop-up canopy with the wings attached there. They trailered it there.
Oh, is that the one that ripped the landing gear off of it?
Busted the landing gear, I heard. Yeah. That one was cool. It had two motors up in the nose driving a belt pulley, driving the prop. So two motors in parallel.
So it was a belt.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it may have been geared. I didn't know.
Yeah, it was a belt running around the two motors, and it was a cog belt. But that didn't get in the air. Then of course they had the giant mini quad, which
Ian flew that.
Ian I didn't see the crash part, but I saw his first successful flight, which was cool. Did a couple rolls, couple flips. What other? I'm trying to think. What other big things? I can't remember off the top of my head now. Nate had a bunch of big wings, actually. I mean, he had his giant wing, but he actually flew one in combat that was probably easily 5.5 foot span.
Was that his crash test hobbies wing?
I don't know.
Scythe? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wasn't paying attention.
Okay.
But yeah, man, it's so you think you'll go back next year?
I think so, probably. I mean, it's out here. I don't know if we'll drive up again and camp the same way. If I do if my dad does go again with me, we may RV it.
Okay.
And maybe that'll be better on his allergies.
Yeah.
Get a little HEPA filter.
We used to camp a lot growing up, and I think you get to a point where you're just like, I've done my time.
Yeah.
We can RV it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think he's there.
Well, that definitely comes with being a successful adult too, where you can afford to do things like that once in a while.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah. Well, I think we all are to a point, but
he's done pretty good.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough going out there, especially if you got a lot of kids or whatever, trying to camp and get everything together and all that. And as you get older, things you kind of start weighing the cost of how you feel after it's all over with to the cost of the RV, and you kind of go, yeah, that RV's looking pretty good.
Yeah. Yep.
So, Pat, you got any other questions for it, Ben?
Well, it was a great success. I think it looked like Flight Fest West was a great success.
Definitely.
How going back to the C-17, how long did it take you to build that?
I started it in January sometime, I think late January, and first flight was in early March. So
wow, that's
almost
quick.
Yeah, almost 2 months, I guess.
For me, that's quick.
Didn't feel quick at the time, but
yeah.
I would work on it a couple hours each night after Sonny goes to sleep and wife gets her show on, and I just sit there and go. I think I almost gave myself tennis elbow from all the cutting, because it was 7 sheets of foam to build that thing.
Wow.
And not just the amount of sheets, but just the amount of tiny parts. I mean, every little flap hinge fairing and every shroud for the fans and the pylon mounts and every louver or every gore of the fuselage and the nose, all those pieces folding in. But it was still, I mean, it was all worth it. It was great fun, and it was a great success. It was
unbelievable, man.
Awesome.
I'm telling you, I see that airplane on video, and I remember watching your first maiden flight of it when you went to your home field. Mm-hmm. And I was scared to death for you, man. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. I don't know. I spent that much time building an airplane that looked that good. I don't know that I'd ever fly it. No, I don't know, man. It would have been tough.
Yeah, I definitely was nervous that first time out, rolling it, because I don't have a lot of airplanes that even have landing gear. So I don't have a whole lot of runway time for doing real rolling takeoffs. Luckily it was a ducted fan, so there wasn't any P factor to worry about, because my left thumb doesn't work for a darn. Being a sloper, none of my airplanes have rudders.
Right.
So I can move that throttle up and down once in a while, but other than that, that's why, I mean, if you watch I didn't have any video of the race, the pylon race, but my takeoff of that SK3 was marginal. But once it got going, then once I get airflow over the rudder, then vertical, then I'm good. But I don't know what to do with that rudder thing. But yeah, taking it off. I don't know. At some point you just got to go for it, and I kept falling back on. I put CG forward and pull the elevator, and I don't know. I guess I got blessed and got a little lucky with it, but it flew great that first time.
It did. It flew really well.
Then you had
everybody needs to go out and check his videos, because they're really, really good. I mean, go back and watch that. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And we'll have to get some links down below too of YouTube and all that.
I'll make sure and give you guys the links to that first video. It's cool to have it, but I'm looking forward to seeing what Flight Test has as far as footage, because the footage from the home field was good to have, but that little hat cam just doesn't have much focus to it.
Yeah. Well, when you were flying it for the cameras there, you totally greased that landing too. I mean, that was just,
did he ever?
You look like a professional, man.
Yeah, that's when you walk away and you never fly anything like that again in front of anybody. Right. You just go, yeah, I'm good.
That's pretty much what I said. I mean, after I landed, I had a huge exhale, and then after we did our after post talk, I was walking back up to the camp holding it, and I told our neighbors there, I was like, I'm good. We can go home now.
That's right. Go home now.
I'm done.
You won Flight Fest.
Well, and after that flight, I pretty much sat for like an hour. The night before, we did the mini aero build, the group build for the community, and that's when I started on the Super B, but I didn't finish it. So after I flew the C-17. I just sat back in our camp, sat at our table, and finished off the Super B, ate some lunch. Compared to the first day, I hardly flew anything. I think I flew three airplanes: C-17, then the Super B, and then the A4. But the day before, the first day on Thursday, I flew the snot out of everything. I was a maniac. Don't do that. Pace yourself.
Well, we usually don't fly.
Yeah, I
3 batteries the whole time at Flight Fest.
No, honestly, we're too busy socializing.
Yeah, socializing and giving people a hard time and helping everybody else out to
Yep.
I definitely settled in after Friday, Saturday. But yeah, that first day, I think I was just on so much adrenaline of excitement, just being there and getting to fly, and so I was just like, I gotta fly everything. And then, you watch my Thursday vlog, it's true to form. I mean, it's true to fact. And at the end of the day, I'm just like, I'm done.
Yeah, I saw that. You were like, I have flown so much today. I didn't ever think I'd be tired of flying.
Yeah, it's true.
Right now, I'm tired of flying.
It's true.
And I thought that was pretty interesting observation, is to see somebody at a flying event that was tired of it.
Yeah, I really wanted to go back and fly. Go ahead, Patrick.
Patrick, you're cutting in and out a little bit. Uh-oh, you froze up. Pat has frozen completely.
Frozen solid. Yeah, I really wanted to. Before I was recorded that section of the vlog, I'm thinking to myself, like, what else could I fly? Because I don't want to stop flying, because I came here to fly. Go ahead, Pat.
You're still cutting out a little bit. Try again.
Am I better now?
Yep, you are now.
Okay, yeah. You guys just totally went into this weird alternate universe on the internet for a second, and I couldn't follow. Mike was talking like this. It was just weird, man. I had to step back. So the SK3, the winning airplane of the air races.
Yeah.
Your design. Yep.
Yeah, my design. Well, my redesign of the Folkerts SK3.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now, how did the air races go? Because I haven't seen any footage of those yet. What was that like?
It was pretty uneventful. I mean, as far as an event goes, no one crashed, no one mid-aired. We all did 10 laps. And I don't think anyone cut any pylons. I don't think anyone had to do an extra lap, but there was only 3 of us. Damien, who was going to fly a Cadron, he busted his up the day before. But I didn't see it happen. I don't know what happened to it, but because I saw him fly it twice successfully, and it looked great in the air. It was flying great. I did a test flight of mine as well. And so it was me and 2, I forget what the name just flew out of my head, the biplane big cowling.
I can see it. I can't think of the name either.
Anyway, there was Aviator 08 was flying one of those, and then someone else was flying another one. And I apologize, guys. I'm terrible with names. So there was those two guys were rolling takeoff, and then I just chucked mine in the air, and it was all squirrely. But then I got online, and so we went up and kind of circled real slow, and Austin gave a countdown from 10. And so the idea was that by the time you get to 0, you sort of dive as he's counting, 3, 2, 1, 0. You dive for the start line, which basically was where we were standing, just an imaginary line out from us. Was the start finish line. And so if you cross that before 0, then you have an extra lap. But so I actually hung back a little bit to make sure that I didn't do that. So we all dove for the start line, we crossed it, and then they had 2 pylons set up at either end of the field, and you just fly a big oval. We were outside of the line. We didn't do anything like what they're doing at East, I think, where you're inside with the 3 pylon. So, but they had everyone back for safety. We had our hard hats. Our spotters had our hard hats, and so we flew that 2 pylon 10 laps, and I posted telemetry from that race, from the race as well in the race thread, which is.
I'll have to go look at that. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, that's the engineer geek in me. I love to look at the numbers, but my motor was pulling. I think 774 watts throughout the race, and it topped out at like 97 or 92.
Nice.
And
that's quick.
At one point, you can see where I throttled down because I wasn't sure where I was in my battery, and I wanted to make sure I could actually finish the 10 laps. But then I started to hear in the other spotters calling out laps. And I was hearing my dad calling out my laps, and I'm like, oh, they're getting closer. And I think I was still a little bit behind Aviator. And so I just floored it. And about 3/4 of the way I raced, I think that's when I passed Aviator and then finished. We actually, I think we finished pretty close.
Cool.
But I didn't see anybody else's airplane. I was just watching mine, keeping it, out of the stands and on the line.
Miles an hour. Yeah, that'll get away from you really quick.
Yeah. Well, especially, I mean, most of the time when I'm flying fast, I'll fly fast in a straight line, but I slow down for the turns. But in a pylon race, there's no slowing down. So,
right.
Full throttle around those turns, that was a little new for me.
Cool. Now, what did they use for the pylons?
They were just they looked like small radio tower. They were just poles.
Oh, okay.
Posts, held up by guy wires.
Okay. And what kind of setup are you running in that plane?
It is if I remember off the top of my head, it's a 35 something. It's an 1100 kV motor. So it's long and fat. And it's turning an 8x10 prop.
Oh wow!
High pitch.
I did a lot of flight testing in the months before leading up to it, figuring out what prop I liked, what was good, and I flew it on an 8x10. I flew it on a 8x8, 9x9. I think I even tried it on a 10x10. But everything else, all those other ones, either didn't give me a whole lot of speed or just sucked the battery down. And didn't. So the 8x10 had a nice balance of endurance and then still had that top end speed once it got up on step. So
cool.
There's that, and then the battery was is actually the same battery that I fly the A4 on. It's a 3000 4-cell.
Okay.
And it probably would go even faster if it was more than a 20C battery.
Oh my goodness! It's a restrictor plate.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hey guys, I gotta pause myself for just a minute. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
Okay. What do you think he's up to now? I wonder.
I don't know, but I will say one of the scale details that was fun was if you can see it, if that light is in the way, but the real SK3 has a pitot tube halfway down the right wing.
Okay.
And in my first build, I knew I wanted to have a pitot tube on there because I wanted to have telemetry and know how fast I was going. But it was an afterthought, and so it was way out on the wingtip, and it bugged me because I'm like, there's a pitot tube on there, but it's not where it should be. So the next build, this is the second one. So I built, I made sure that I laid the pressure tubing in the wing and put the pitot tube in the right spot, and so it's a fun detail for me because I've put airspeed on other airplanes before, but this was the first one that it was actually part of the scale build. It wasn't just for fun. So
cool.
Yeah, functional and scale.
Now, did you crash the first one at all to get to?
Oh yeah.
What you have now?
Yeah. I think I did go back and post the first fail takeoff.
Okay.
In, I forget which thread it was, but one of the early design off threads that started the whole thing. I didn't want to post it because it is to me it's a scary video to watch, but if other people can learn from it, then that's why I posted it. It was tail heavy, and I had and the tail was too small, so I didn't have enough authority. Because at first I just started, it's totally scale from plans, and I didn't change any proportions, and that was a bad idea. So on version 2, I upsized the horizontal and upsized the vertical a little bit, which gave me more rudder authority and gave me more directional stability, which you need on these giant things, because not only do they have strong props or strong motors, turning a big prop, the design of these old planes is they've got a big fat fuselage that's got a lot of side plate area, and that has a big effect on the tracking and the aerodynamics of the whole thing. So you need to have a tail that can counteract it. And I learned something from actual scale history, that these old racers from this era had a problem called rudder lock, where they didn't have enough rudder authority to straighten out the airplane, and so they would get into a situation where they just could not get out of it, and it was bad situation. But yeah, I picked the SK3 because it has such a tiny wingspan, and Damien was actually giving me a hard time. That it's like, oh, that can't possibly be scale. That's not 1/6, proper. And I'm like, yeah, it's the full scale airplane is a 16-foot wingspan.
Good Lord!
And so when I did the math, I was looking through 1/6 scale on all these different plans, and I came across that one, and I said 16 feet. Well, that's perfect.
Lord,
yeah,
that's crazy.
That's why it's so long and skinny.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Little rocket ship.
It is a little rocket ship.
Yep, more cojones than I would have to get in one of those things.
Oh gosh, I can't imagine. Yeah, sitting in one and flying it. No. Goodness.
Insanity.
Yeah, that's like the GBs, man. I wouldn't.
No, thanks.
A lot of pilots were killed in those, weren't they?
I mean, I love the little airplane, but man, no. Wouldn't have nothing to do with it.
Nothing but engine.
Yeah. It's all engine.
Yeah, it's all engine. A little bit of wing, a little bit of tail.
And a big, giant, fat fuselage.
I can't seem to get away.
Pat, you are really having a tough time with your internet.
Fat.
I mean, a really hard time.
Start again, Pat.
Oh, you guys are breaking up. It's probably my internet connection. Back to the C-17 again, because I can't seem to get away from it. So what happened on that last flight? What caused it?
There's many things that I'm sure happened. I'm not sure what the one thing was, but so I was repairing it. I was trying to do a takeoff without the landing gear, because the gear pin on, so they're removable.
Mhm.
And I wanted to. The idea was to have them to unpin them and just have it roll takeoff and have the gear fall away, fly around with the retracted look, and then just skid land. And I ironed on some lamb film on the belly so it was reinforced and it could take it. But on the first attempt at that Saturday morning, the bumpiness of the runway under, even though it was smooth on the geotex, the underlying surface is not level. So it bounced the gear off early, and it kind of dug in and skidded off and ripped off one of the nacelles. And so glued that back on. As I was actually in the middle of gluing it back on, Ren from Corridor Digital comes rolling by on his one wheel. And I didn't know who he was at the time. I had seen him around, and I'd seen him on the one wheel, but I don't follow, no offense to anyone who's a big fan of Corridor Digital. They're a great channel. I checked them out when I got home. They got cool stuff, but I had no clue who he was as he was rolling by, but I'd seen him on the one wheel, and I'm like, hey, I've got an idea for you. How sturdy are you on that thing? And he said, very. And so he was all confident and good. And so we did some test runs in the campsite, and he was good with it. And so the idea would be then he would just hold it and roll and help me get up to speed, and then I would take it from there.
Right.
But I think, and this is it's not his fault or anything, but I think a combination of the way he was holding it and maybe pushed a little more with his backhand.
Yeah, I watched the video.
Than just letting go, or maybe I didn't tell him to push. I told him to just let go because I wanted him to just hold it at a nose up angle and just let go, because I didn't want him to feel like he had to throw it off of the one wheel and make him hurt himself or anything. But I think he tried to push it a little bit, and it maybe pushed. Plus, there was some weird wind at that particular time of the day, so it may have been a combination of how he let it go plus some downdraft in the area, because it didn't even try to go up. I mean, it just went down.
No, watching the video, it almost looked like he did on his backhand, where he had the tail.
Yeah,
it looks like he kind of pushed a little bit, and if you had any thrust at all, as soon as it got to that angle, it was going straight into the ground.
Yeah. But
yeah,
I kept telling people, there's so many people like, oh, you can glue the tail back on. And the nacelle actually was fine. It still was attached. The tail was cracked over. It has a carbon spar in it, and that snapped. And could have probably re-glued it, but at that point that was the third attempt of the day. I was just, I'm like, I'm good. We had our good flight. We got good video. I had great fun building it. I've had great experience with it already, and I've already got like 4 ideas for all those ducted fans. I mean, there literally is. I can't show it to you. It's in the other room, but there's another airplane that I'm halfway started on that is sized for 2 of those ducted fans.
Oh, awesome!
And so two of those fans are already spoken for.
Awesome. Well, and you do have that, the video, not only that you took, but I'm sure that Christian and those guys over at Flight Test, I'm sure have got some video that you're just gonna just go crazy over, because those guys are pretty good about filming that stuff. So it should be really good. Now, did Alex chase it with the quad, or do you know?
So he didn't the first time, and that was why we really were trying to fly it the second day. There was some problem because he had his quad up before attempting to chase the Super Bee on their first failed attempt, but for some reason something went wrong, and so he couldn't get in the air the whole time I was flying around. But there was some random random pilot who was chasing me in a fixed wing. And he then came up to Christian and told him he had a camera on board. And so Christian gave him his card, and so they were trying to exchange. So there's a potential that they actually might have some aerial video, but I haven't seen it or haven't we haven't we don't know about it.
Yeah.
So that's possible, but regardless, he's still, he must have got some awesome. He's a great, videographer. I'm sure he's got awesome stuff. And Megan got great shots from the ground, even from the couple that I saw. I'm sure she's got tons more.
Yeah.
But
apparently she's pretty good photographer. So.
Yeah, she's no slouch.
Yeah.
Definitely. But it was still fun. It was a blast. I did get Alex to follow me in his quad when I flew the A4 though.
Mm-hmm.
Right after the Super Bee landed on their successful flight, he had battery left, and so I was ready with the A4, and so they landed and got their stuff in, and so then he took off, and I just threw up, and he just chased me around for a few minutes. So he said he's got some cool video of the A4, which I'm excited to see.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah. Dan Spons is asking if we got Ben to commit to Flite Fest East.
I can't commit, but I can say I'm trying.
Yeah.
I know why he wants my dad to barbecue for him.
As long as Dan gets to make the fries, it's all good.
Oh, good. I'm on board with that.
Yeah, Hildeflyer is saying that the Crosby CR4 also had a 16-foot wingspan.
Yeah,
those
guys were all crazy back then.
The Crosby, is that the other one, the twin, the biplane, or is that?
I don't know.
No, I think that's a monoplane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm
sure that Hildeflyer
myself
will tell us
now.
in a minute.
I'm kicking myself. I can't remember the name of that plane that they're flying. I knew it off the top of my head, but now it just.
Yeah. That's what happens.
Yeah.
Were there two of them there? A green one and a red one?
Yeah.
This model? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they were flying the same, and I was flying the SK3.
Okay. Gotcha. Cool.
Wow.
And then because there was just the three of us, and neither one of them really were even signed up, or they were going to fly the endurance race. It was just me. So we didn't end up doing that one. We just did the pylon race.
Gotcha. Cool. And you won.
Yeah, I won.
There you go.
But we all had fun. That's the main.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm excited to watch it at Flite Fest East.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that'll be cool.
Yep.
Yeah, there's going to be some pretty cool planes at East, I think, and that big Bugatti. I can't wait to see it. That's going to be.
Yeah, that's going to be gnarly.
Yeah. I don't know how you guys do that. I just, I have a hard time.
I would
an arrow, much less something like that. So.
I would be so scared to fly that thing. I would be terrified to fly that thing after putting that much work in it and the type of plane it is. But he's ready. It's ready to maiden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that.
The right opportunity.
Yeah, I was reading the forums, just earlier today, and he's pretty nervous, and Carl keeps egging him on, going, "Come on, dude! All you got to do is say the word. I'll be there in 90 minutes."
Yeah.
So
it's good. He's gotten his simulator going though, so at least he's got some practice.
Yep. And then he's got what's that other plane he's got that he's
the Nemesis.
The Nemesis, right. Yeah. And I told him, I said I would fly that thing as crazy as I could fly it.
Yeah.
Beforehand to get the nerves out, and absolutely, that's the way I would do it.
Yeah.
Well, you want to get your nerves out. Fly. Who was it that was building the baby Bugatti on 6L? That'll calm your nerves.
That's John. John is doing that.
Is that John?
Yeah, 6L. Now, first of all, what's the wing loading on that thing?
It's not much. I mean, the thing, the way I built it, even on 3 cells, it weighs, it only weighs 7.5 ounces, if that.
Really? With the
it's
battery?
real. With the battery, yeah.
Oh, man, there's nothing to it.
No, it's real light.
Okay.
So
And that thing would be like a brick with wings.
Come to think of it, I do have 2 little 3 cells that I could put in series.
There you go.
That's how I got it to fly on 4 cells. I got 2 500 milliamp 2 cells that I put in a series, and I flew that, and that's fun. You want to fly something that flies like stink, man. Fly that baby Bugatti on a 5x5 on 4 cells. That thing scoots.
I bet.
Nice.
Yeah, we've got a whole new term for anything that flies awesome is it flies like stink.
Flies like stink.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah, I will be building a baby Bugatti.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll be rebuilding, I'll be building another one.
Yeah. No, seriously, there is such brilliance in the simplicity.
The motor still turns, so it's good.
There you go.
Awesome.
Yeah, it looks like a very simple build. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you really captured the lines of it too. I think I love it. It's so
thanks.
Brilliant simplicity, or simply brilliant, or something like that. But yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, then I succeeded, because that was one of my personal goals when I designed it. Was I was trying to challenge myself to simplify, because I mean, as a designer in my job, and being that's what I do, I tend to. I mean, if you've met an engineer, we tend to overcomplicate and overbuild things, and overthink things.
So you're talking to an engineer over there too.
But so So it was a personal challenge to myself. Like, okay, Ben, don't overdo this. Don't overthink it. Simplify. And one of the scale details that I actually left out is the forward swept leading edge. So the wing actually, the wing technically is forward swept because it's got such a forward swept trailing edge. So the MAC is, so the AC is forward swept, but the planform isn't perfectly right. But I'm looking back at the from the 30,000 foot level, and I'm looking at the airplane. I'm like, it still works. It still flies.
Right.
It still looks. It's got the look. The shape of it, the tails, and the main thing that kind of pushed me over the edge and allowed me to let that go was that's the only reason I was able to make the wing so simple. It's because it's the wing is one piece, and it's one piece fold over.
Okay.
So you don't have to do any kind of funny business with joining the center line and folding this one over and folding that one over. It's just one. You cut out the whole thing, you fold it over, and you're done.
Right.
And so it was things like that where I was trying to go for simple.
Dan's telling us the wing loading on that is 13.1 ounces per square foot.
Oh, that's decent. Oh yeah, because I gave him all the wing area and weight specs. I forgot.
He's saying WCL 17.9. He's geeking out right now. Is what he's doing.
Thank you, Dan. All right, so then we got to see what and depending on the size of your 3 cells or your 6 cell, you're not going to change the wing loading that much. It's just going to go faster.
Yeah, and as little as that plane is, I don't know that it needs to go a whole lot faster.
Oh, it's so fun.
Oh,
Yeah, but
I
I'm
have a
old.
hard time keeping track of it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm old and have old eyes. It'd be real tough for me.
That's why you just throttle back.
No, there's no such thing as throttling back.
No, if you can go that fast, you might as well go that fast.
You go that fast. That's just what you do.
Yeah. Good
stuff.
Dan
says, what do you mean he's geeking out right now? He always is geeking
out. So, you said you've mentioned you have another a twin EDF or something in the works. Any big plans coming up? Anything you're willing to disclose, or do you want to keep your project secret for now?
That one is going to stay behind the curtain for now.
Gotcha.
That one's staying behind the curtain. But I have those there. So that's only for 2 of them. My other idea for one of those 2 is to make a smaller A4.
Okay.
with a
Like
50
millimeter?
a 50 millimeter EDF.
Sweet.
Nice.
Which that works out. If you just scale this down from the 50-70 ratio, that actually is the same. It's about a 20-inch wingspan, same as the
Oh
baby
man,
Bugatti.
that'll be
Cool.
fun.
And those little 50 millimeters put out over a pound of thrust. And
see, I would want to take and make that 50. I've got a couple of 64 millimeters. Make the 50 and just make that 64 millimeter fit in it. That would be fun.
There you go.
Do it, Mike.
The guy, one of the guys we were camping next to, this probably will go in the next A4 build, but they were from San Diego, and after watching my C-17 and watching the A4 fly, he comes over to me, and he says, "Hey, you have any other big fast jet builds that you're working on?" And I'm thinking, well, I'm always working on something, but he hands me a Dr. Madthrust 70 millimeter EDF with speed controller and 4-cell.
Oh man!
Like just match power set. And he's like, "Here, make something go fast."
Oh my goodness!
Wow!
Major shout out to Stu in San Diego for hooking me up with that power setup, because that is going to make a wicked A4.
Awesome!
Oh man, cool! Way to go, Stu!
Be fun. Yeah, way to go, Stu. Oh, if you ever need anything soldered, see Stu. He hooked me up with a Y lead that I didn't have enough, so I had a bunch of servo wires, and he soldered me up a Y lead for my Angry Bee build.
That's awesome.
And like I handed him the servo wires, he came back in probably 3 minutes, and they were all tied together and heat shrunk and the whole deal. It looks like he bought it from High Tech. I'm like, dude.
Here's one of the reasons why I started this podcast, specifically because of what you just said about Stu coming over with a full power setup and said, "Here, make something go fast." Yeah. This community is, and I'm telling you, people that are not in it don't understand it. This is the most giving community I have ever been around in my life. So amazing that somebody would walk up to you and go, "Here, make something go fast. I want to see it." Yeah. You know, I remember the first Flite Fest in Ohio in 14. That's when I first met Eddie Black. Well, and everybody else as far as in person, but I didn't know who Eddie Black was to save my life. And we're sitting there and everybody's building and all this, and there's a guy next to me, and oh my God, David Bischoff and his son was building the Vegan, and I don't remember what he needed. I think he might have needed a receiver or something. I don't remember what it was. No, it was a speed controller. It was an ESC, and I had one, and I just went over and grabbed it and gave it to him, and he was like, "What do I owe you?" And I said, "Watching that thing fly. That's all I want." You know what I mean? I want to see it fly. And he was like, "Oh man, you just can't give that to me." And I said, "Yes, I can. That's what this community is." And
what's it going to do? Sit there?
I mean, it was in my box. I wasn't using it for anything. So somebody might as well use it. Right. So yeah. And Eddie actually launched it for him, and it flew, and it was great. And we just had a great time. And it's just, that's what this community is. And it just really, it kind of boggles my mind in this day and age, the way people don't get along. And you can go to a place like Ohio or California, and everybody just has a great time, and they're helpful. And I don't know, I get the warm fuzzies.
It's one of the friendliest environments I've ever been in my life.
Ever.
It's awesome.
Ever.
Well, and it speaks volumes that it translated too. I talked with Josh Bixler about this a bit, because it was something that he wanted, our feedback, our community, he was asking me, like, what do you feel going to this after going last year to Ohio, getting an outside flight test perspective. Does the community travel? Like, does that does what they started in Ohio, and honestly, no offense to it, but middle of nowhere Ohio, does that does that little microcosm, that kind of community, feel that they created there, does that translate? Is that portable? And I honestly said, yeah, I think it is. I mean, because we had it felt the same. I mean, there were differences. It wasn't the same thing, but I didn't feel like I was in at a different event. I didn't feel like I was in a different different community. I didn't feel like I was going to some other kind of event. It still felt like Flite Fest.
Good,
man. That's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I was going to ask you about, try to compare it, people wise or help wise, or I don't even know quite how to say it, just community wise, I guess.
Yeah, it definitely did. I mean, Nate talked about this a little bit in one of his recent posts on the forum, and I've kind of wanted to save it just to talk about, because I don't type well sometimes. It takes too long. But the feel on the flight line, they let people take their pop-ups down and set up, sort of mobile camps, so you could have your airplanes down there, have some shade, because there's no shade to speak of out on the flight line. And ours wasn't really portable, so we had to leave ours at our camp. But I'd take my airplanes down there, one or two at a time, and I'd hang out with Nate in his, or Demo 7, Jeff Yang in his. But if I couldn't find them, and I just needed some shade or needed a place to spot my planes, I'd wander around, and and it's just wherever you wanted to go. I mean, people were just welcoming. Yeah, there's an open spot right here. Or actually, and more often than not, I'd ask somebody, like, is this your pop-up, or can I borrow your shade? They're like, oh, this isn't my spot, this is somebody else's, we're just hanging out here too. And so it was very come and go, and just respect it all as your own. But yeah, it was great. I think they did better with spotters too. The flight line etiquette, I think, was seen better, at least.
Okay.
Maybe Andre might have a better perspective on that, from his perspective. But I didn't see as many solo guys standing out on the flight line, just doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, one of the things I notice, at every Flight Fest so far, at least East, is flight line etiquette was kind of non-existent. And I did notice in your vlogs and a couple of the other vlogs, I always heard somebody saying taking off, landing, low pass. I mean, I heard all that, and made me feel good. And I know it made some of the people, that we're friends with, feel good as well, knowing that happened there. And I hope that does transfer back over to East a little more. One of the things we're going to do is we'll have another Preparing for Flight Fest kind of, podcast, before Ohio. And we will probably ask you to come back on. I haven't said anything. I know Joel and I talked about it. I don't know if I even said anything to Pat yet, but we'd kind of like to have you on.
Behind my back?
Every chance we get, Pat. You know me better than that, buddy.
I don't blame you there, buddy.
No, you know me better than that.
No, no, dude. Yeah, it'd be great, especially you coming. That would be a great perspective to have, because you
from California. First
of all, you've traveled that's a long way to travel. We the only people that can possibly beat you are the people coming from overseas. So, and plus you're coming fresh out of Flight Fest West, so you'd be a great guy to talk about preparedness and things to expect.
You'd be happy to.
There's every year there's going to be a lot of new people coming in, and I see on the forum questions, related to just people aren't really sure what it's like what do they expect when they arrive? What are the facilities like? That kind of thing. So, and talk about that. Help us out with that. That'd be great.
Yeah, we'd appreciate it greatly.
Yeah, definitely. And it's the whole etiquette thing, with that. I mean, it's something that I didn't really pay attention to at East last year. I don't know if it was because it was my first, flight fly-in really ever going, or I mean, it probably was more due to the fact that I had my wife and son there, so I was paying more attention to them. But I reading on the forums after last year's event, people saying, etiquette wasn't so good, or this, we could have done better than this. Looking back on it, I can see, but then going into West out here, and then also, I mean, I was on the volunteer team, and it just, I think it's on us, the more experienced and the volunteers and the people to set that example. For just simple stuff like the call outs that you're talking about, taking off, launching, hand launch, taking off, landing, low pass, all those little silly things that if the other people, intermediate and beginner people who are either new to festivals entirely or new to RC or any of the above, there's an element of comfort that comes when you see these guys who are obviously appear and act and look more experienced. You hear and you see them behaving this way, it makes it more acceptable. It makes it more normal to do these call outs. It's like, oh, that's how you do that. That's how you launch. That's how you land. That's how you do a little pass.
That's kind of a peer pressure kind of thing.
Yeah, it takes it. Well, and it almost removes the peer pressure of not saying anything, because it's not comfortable to call out stuff like that. To speak up. I mean, when I was doing flight training, private pilot training with my grandpa, I loved flying. I did fine on the flying part, but I couldn't talk on the radio. I was scared of the radio, and because I didn't want to get it wrong, And to be fair, I was good to be intimidated by my grandpa because he had 30 years of flying, so he was comfortable on the radio. But yeah, there's an element of the more you are around that, the more you see other people doing that, then it's easier to do it yourself. Then you can see how it's done, and then it just keeps getting more perpetuated, and everyone can be safer, can have more fun, because that's what we're there for.
Well, exactly,
absolutely.
and that's one of the things I guess I'm pretty lucky about, is I've never been shy in my life, and not only am I not shy, but my voice tends to carry very well. So I when I holler, people kind of go, God, who's that? but that's a good thing, because we really want these people to be safe, and there were some issues with safety last year that. I think will definitely improve. Question about that, out at West, did they have pilot meetings every day?
Yeah.
Good, because we had one last year, if you remember, and it was on Saturday. And
don't remember that.
Well, and that's part of the problem.
I probably came late.
is that it was like what, 9 o'clock, I think, Pat?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
I want to say it was like 9 o'clock on Saturday, and it was like, that's a little late. Yeah. And it's a little too late for me. And we had quite a talk about it, and I'm sure that Andre absolutely took notes on that, because one of the things that I will give Andre, and I've known Andre since the first one as well, and he takes all this stuff to heart. I mean, he really cares and wants to do a good job, and never taking anything away from Fred Provost. Yes, Fred, we love you, we miss you, and you need to be out there, but we know you can't, but we still want you out there. But anyway, I miss Fred a lot. But Joker 53150 is like, there was a pilot meeting at East, and that's and that's part of the problem.
Exactly.
Is I think this year, I think going to East this year, I think you're going to see that it's going to happen Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, I'm definitely gonna say something, and talk to Andre. and I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
Because Andre has taken plenty of notes, and he knew that from last year. So it's going to be interesting to see how the peer pressure changes the way Flite Fest East goes, just from the little bit that I saw at Flite Fest West on video, because I think you guys did a really good job out there, and I want to congratulate all of you guys out at Flite Fest West for that. So thanks, guys. You know, it's nice that people are trying to do the right thing.
And I think it'll be even better the next year at East, this year at East, because he's got the notes from West now, and we've got that experience, or he's got that experience. And the one big thing, that the challenge that they had was just communication. Being able to get information, disseminated down the line throughout the campsite, and they immediately picked up on that. And got a mini PA out there, but with their setup that they've got at their home field, combined with the lessons learned from this year at West, I think that you'll see that just continue to go up a notch. And that'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the main thing is I mean, I want people to be safe, and I want people to feel safe. And there were a few times last year that I didn't feel safe, and actually, Pat got hit with an airplane at one of the combats.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it wasn't bad.
Actually, the one that hit me, we were back actually in the RV area, walking from Fury's hangar, and we were at like the first row of our RVs, and then there were the store tents right beyond that. But yeah, Orchard and I got hit by an airplane. No big deal, but and that happens. People are going to lose connectivity with the radios or whatever. But what really kind of worried me was I think it was Saturday evening, sitting in the stands, the little bleachers they had in the center during the evening combat, and there were like airplanes falling into the bleachers. And
no!
I got up and left. I just walked away. I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah, way too dangerous.
Yeah.
They did a good job with keeping the combat out over the field this year, at least. And I don't know if it was something that they did on the fly or if it was something they planned, but they had a flag out there that was sort of a landmark for everyone to fly around or congregate towards. And so, Stefan would be able to call out, lower, not just lower, but also, like around the flag, and do that. And
yeah, well,
there were a couple of flyaways, but they were real conscious about them. Like and no one got hurt that I know of.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, right. and I don't think we had one guy did get hit in the head and got a pretty good gash in the top of his head, if I remember right. But I mean, there wasn't a lot of incidents of people getting hurt or anything, but it is kind of scary. I mean, when you think about these things, I mean, there's a lot of spinning stuff going on, and things are going pretty fast, and things can happen pretty quickly. And we just, we really want to make sure people are safe, and especially the little kids, I mean, I'm an adult. If I get hit, I'm going to suck it up and go on. But, some of the little kids, I mean, that scares me to death. And I want to make sure that, people are safe and all those things. And seeing what you guys did out there at West was refreshing, just to,
good.
To give you guys kudos, out on the West Coast. Absolutely.
Who thought the people out on the West Coast would do things, sensibly?
You got a point. Not gonna lie. But props to Andre for corralling all of them and the rest of the team, really pulling together. I think we have a good team.
Yeah.
I imagine they're at the point now that they've had 3 under their belt now for I'm sure they have a process down now, and now it's a matter of fine tuning instead of just figuring out what the heck are we going to do.
Yeah,
like the first couple of years.
Yeah, it's impressive how they've been able to be methodical and be just grow a little bit every year, and not overgrow, and not grow beyond their means, beyond their capabilities.
Well, I think they don't know what to expect, and thankfully the community as a whole steps up and helps if it does get a little bit beyond their means. You know what I mean? I mean, because I think it's happened, at 15 and 16 both. It just seems to me as though the community just kept stepping up and stepping up and stepping up. When Flite Test itself may have felt a little overwhelmed, I think as a community, we told them, calm down, we got this. I really think that happened a lot.
Yeah. And part of it is the attitude and the feeling of the people. Where you go to one of these events, and it's like I've always said, it's very much like a homecoming. You're getting together with your friends, and you're not going there as a passive spectator. At least a lot of people aren't going there as passive spectators. They're going there to pitch in, to help out. And then if you see somebody having a hard time, if they're stuck in the mud, you help them out.
Yeah.
So not just kind of.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, we just lost him.
Oh,
he just dropped.
There was no warning on that one.
Yeah, no kidding.
Bye, Pat.
Yeah, bye, Pat. No. He'll be back in a minute. But I agree with Pat. It is more of a, perfect example was Flite Fest 15. It rained most of the time we were there.
Oh yeah, I remember watching that.
And we had an RV right on the Fury's driveway, and there was people getting stuck out in the wheat field and all that, and everybody got together and went out and started pushing them out of the mud. I mean, and I know that was kind of a poke. Saying, hey, if they're stuck in the mud. No, these people were truly stuck in the mud. And I never seen so many people go out and push them out of the mud. I'm glad to see you back, Pat.
I have no idea what happened. My browser just closed. It was
you just like,
the whole browser just went clunk. No idea what happened.
Yeah, I don't know. Dan's getting mad at me thinking I'm trying to talk you out of going to Ohio.
No, I still want to go.
Yeah, see, don't worry, Dan. It'll be all good, buddy. We'll make sure that Ben gets out there somehow. If I've got to call, I don't know who do I need to call? Say you need help. We need help out there. I don't know. Find out, and I'll call.
I'll get your number.
I'm with Fujifilm. I'll do whatever.
Photo op.
We need a Boeing engineer here to look at this printing press.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, because this thing needs to fly. So I don't know. But yeah, we want you out there, and I know Dan does because he wants to pick your brain, I know. And geek out. That's what he wants to do. Yeah. So but anyway, we're coming up on an hour and a half. No, only an hour.
No,
it's an hour and a half.
It'll be longer than that.
Oh, it has an hour and a half, yeah.
Yeah, man.
No, it's
almost,
2 hours.
It's almost 2. We started at 4:30.
Yeah, we started.
My time.
Yeah. God. It's been one of those days, man. I'm telling you. It started
rambling on about safety.
Yeah, rambling on about safety and all that. But yeah. Is there anything that you want to point out that we haven't grabbed a hold of and talked about?
Probably, but I can't think of it right now. It was a good time though. It was I think it was really successful, and looking forward to to seeing what they do with East, and then what they do with West next year, and even South. That's already on the shirt. So
yeah, I know it. So they're gonna have to do something.
They got to do something.
But yeah, man, I want to say I appreciate you coming on and talking to us, and
my pleasure.
Giving us your perspective on what you saw out there, and of course I want to thank you for all the content that you put into the forums and your vlogs and everything else. I mean, you're a really talented guy, and you should walk pretty proud, man. You do a great job. So
thanks.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I like giving kudos where they're due.
It's fun.
That's all right. You can just build me one of them A4s. That'll be all right.
I just look at this next time I need to shrink my head back down.
Yeah, boy, that'll do it, won't it? Well, I'd still be proud of that too, man. That thing was
Absolutely.
awesome.
It was good. But I tell you, Ren was like, he was real sad. He was, I can't believe it. Yeah, I had to like give him a hug and calm him down. Like, dude, calm down. It's okay. On the other hand, his cameraman was thrilled.
I'm sure.
His buddy on the camera was like, "This is a much better video."
Yeah, if everything would have went smooth, this would have sucked.
That's boring.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh wait, Jim RC 120 has a question for you. It says, Ben has said why he built the C-17, but was there a reason for the A4?
Not the same kind of reason. I mean, the A4 is another. They're both like real, top on my list of favorite jets. C-17, if you know that you read the story or hear other stuff that I've said before, there's a lot of personal history with that. But the A4, I guess there's a little bit of personal history but I didn't think about it the same way. Like, the A4 has just always been a fun jet for me. I love. It was the first Blue Angels video that I ever saw. My dad showed me Blue Angels when I was a kid, and it was the A4, Blue Angels when they were flying that. Then before, or sort of in parallel to a lot of RC stuff, I've been involved in a flight sim called X-Plane, and I've done a lot of 3D modeling for them. I actually did some modeling for aircraft that Austin Meyer, the creator of X-Plane, used in some of his apps. I modeled an F-15. I modeled one of the F-15 that's in his iPhone app.
Really?
And yeah, that was fun. But I've done a lot of. But so I did do an A4 as a payware project for myself in X-Plane. And so I have a ton of research into the A4. And so I've got a just huge personal infatuation with it, specifically the landing gear mechanisms and why they are the way they are. I mean, it was designed as to carry nuclear weapons, and the Navy said we want a jet that we can put on our decks that we don't have to fold the wings. And so that was one of the challenges. That was one of the design constraints, was to make a jet that could carry this massive armament, but still have robust Navy wings that you didn't have to fold. So that's hence the Delta wing. But then on top of that, I mean, making it a single wing wasn't enough. The landing gear on it, the main gear, they retract forward and the wheels turn a quarter turn. They turn, so they go this way, I think. Here they go. Yeah. Anyway, I'm geeking out over landing gear. They turn 90 degrees like a lot of military landing gear do, but the strut is on the outside of the wing skin, outside of the wing structure. And there's a canoe fairing that goes over the strut, and the wheel tire portion is the only part that actually pokes into the wing structure portion of the wing, and it's in front of the main of the front spar. So the main wing box structure that's a carry through from one side to the other is unbroken, and that's why they're so damn strong, and that's why they're still flying today. Because it's simple. It's this one, and I've got a picture. I went to the Midway museum. Midway, or it's an aircraft carrier down in San Diego that has a bunch of stuff on its deck, and there's an A4 there, and I poked my head up underneath the main gear to look at how they do. How does that quarter turn? How is that accomplished? Because on old P40s, they've got a cog gear that rotates it, and other ones have other kind of turnbuckle links, and this one. The main strut that holds the landing gear up is just a sleeve, and the cylinder's up inside it, and the cylinder rotates inside of this sleeve. And up at the top, there's this tiny little, it seriously is about this long, that sticks off at an angle at the top of the main strut cylinder, and it gets pushed at the back by a tiny little link that's about yay big.
Wow.
And that little link is just a passive link at the top back end of this gear. And it's a single actuator that rotates the gear forward. And then as this thing, just by the force of geometry, turns the whole wheel assembly and turns it 90 degrees and pops it up. And when I saw that, I was just like, oh my goodness. I mean, it's so simple and it's so robust.
Simplistic.
Yeah, I just loved it. So things like that.
Oh.
I mean, I could go on for another hour about the A4.
Well, that's all right. Jim CR120 is like geeking out among geeks. No worries.
All right. Good.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'll tell you about the nose gear too. When I was building the X-Plane model, I had my 3-view and I was modeling the gear and I was doing all the details, and I rotated the gear for the first time up into the retracted position, and it didn't fit in the wheel well. The nose was sticking out. Even after and I'm looking at this and I'm like, did I get the side view wrong? Did I get the top view wrong? Like what dimension do I have wrong? And I double checked everything and everything was right. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, the nose wheel is this long on the ground when it's sitting. There's static, there's compressed. I got that right. The wheel well is this big. I got that right. What am I missing? And I did more digging, and I found a story from a pilot who was flying around, and he was flying one with wing tanks, and he did normal takeoff and retracted the gear. Gear went ka-chunk, locked in place. Comes in for a landing, puts his gear down, but he gets 2 green lights. So he does a pass, and the nose wheel doesn't come down. And he's like, okay, standard operating procedure. We retract gear, drain the wing tanks, and just skid land on the wing tanks. So they did inspection later on. The nose gear on the A4 has a shrink link, which is a passive cylinder that has it can compress as the main strut compresses, but it has a maximum length. So as the geometry of the nose gear rotates forward, this shrink link hits an end stop and won't get any longer. And then as it forces its way up into the nose wheel well, that shrink link compresses the main strut, shortening the nose gear so that it can fit into a smaller wheel well. Well, that shrink link is just held in place by just shear bolts at either end. One up in the wheel well and one up at the bottom of the strut. And the one at the bottom of the strut, over its fatigue life, it just sheared off. So when that pilot felt that ka-thunk, it was more than a normal ka-thunk. That the bolt at the bottom of the shrink link sheared, and that nose wheel just went pow forward and just jammed itself into the forward bulkhead and actually cracked the forward bulkhead.
Oh my!
Wow!
Yeah, and he said in his story, had it not been for that crack in the bulkhead, they had to rework that whole area and redo that. Had it not been for that, the rest of the airplane, they would have just repainted the wing tanks and flown it off. It would have been completely fine.
Oh man, ain't that something?
And so I guess all those stories are why I built the A4.
That's cool, man.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So Jim CR120 wants to know if you're going to build your next A4 with retracts.
Yep.
I don't know. I thought about that, but they had weight and time and probably
weight, time and money.
Probably not. It's easier to just throttle up and throw it.
There you go.
Yep.
Simplicity. Love it.
Again, coming from the slope, I'm used to throwing my airplanes.
Yeah, you guys have spectacular slip soaring out there.
Yeah. I really wanted to take sort of like a side crew from Flight Fest West and go out to Tick Point and do some flying out there. But the more I thought about it, I was like, nah, let's just stay here and we'll have enough. And I think that was a good call. I'm glad I didn't try and take anybody out there, even as windy as it was. Just leave it where it is. Maybe we'll do a Flight Fest slope sometimes.
Well, I tell you, I want to try it someday because I live out here in the middle of Kansas, and I don't have anything to slope soar against.
It's currently my latest addiction, Ben. We have a slope site near here. I'm in South Central Pennsylvania, and there aren't many around. But we've got one of the clinics about 20 minutes from here, and it's so much fun.
It's so much fun. It's such a great feeling.
Spectacular.
Yeah, it's so much. I love being able to just, if you get tired, you get bored a little bit, you can just pull over and park. Like, you can actually pause in the air. You can't do that flying power.
That's amazing. Yep. Now the only thing I can do out here is thermal.
Yeah, you can thermal. Yeah. You can DLG.
I can thermal out here, but I can't. I mean, oh man, I'm telling you, my radian, it's pretty well gotten away from me more than once. That's the only good thing. I find the turkey buzzards and just follow them and gone. But slope soaring, not a lot of that here. I mean, there's a couple of places along the river I could probably go. I'd have to go do some investigating, but if you lost one down one of those cliffs on the river, you'd never get it back.
That happens sometimes.
Ever.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever come out to SoCal, you look me up and I'll take you to a slope.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to. I would love to, because I got a friend actually that lives in Santa Barbara, and and I was out there a couple of years ago, and this was before I was all that into the wanting to try slope soaring, and Pat has just ate me up with it, and I really want to try it, but I'll have to build something to do it. But I don't know. I want to try it.
The Versa wing will slope.
Yeah, but it's hard to get on an airplane and bring with you.
That's true.
Yeah, that's the problem I have.
I got plenty of planes you can fly.
Well, I'll probably have to hand you some money first, because I'm afraid one of them may not come back.
Old buddy box, it'll be fine.
I mean, I'm a decent pilot, but I know nothing about slope soaring, so I'll have to learn.
Just keep it in the air.
But, yeah. If there's a way, I can. I mean, I've had some pretty crazy stuff in the air that people are like, that thing flies. So why not? But anyway, Pat, you got anything else, buddy?
I'm just looking around. Where'd I put my weasel?
I don't know.
There it is. I'm gonna show Ben my weasel.
Yeah, you gotta show Ben the weasel.
That's one I haven't flown. I had an Alula Trek.
Yeah, I saw you gave it to that guy. Something Christ. Dominic Christ. Yes, I saw that. That was awesome, dude. You ought to pat yourself on the back for that too.
Nah,
I
wasn't flying it.
Yeah.
So he told me he told me that story about his Alula Evo that was overpainted, and the only thing he had
5 pounds of paint on it or whatever.
he built an FT Explorer on site on like one of the first days to take with him on his trip. But I just remember, I mean, that little Alula Trek is so much fun to just fling, wherever. I mean, slope or not, just sidearm it and and it's wicked fun. It flies so good. I mean, I've got that 6-foot Z1 that I was talking about, and that thing just cuts through the air because it's a thin carbon wing. But I swear that little Alula cuts just as good.
Really?
It's lighter, so it can't take quite as much wind.
Right.
But it will penetrate like none other. I mean, I can thermal that up and then just take a dive, and it's so much fun. It retains so much. You just dive down at the hill, and it just will pop right back up and take almost the same height. And it's it's an amazing little plane.
Yeah,
so I was perfectly happy to pass that on and let him keep flying it.
I would like to find a true Alula, because those things, everybody that has one or that's had one said they are just unbelievable.
Yeah, they're fun. So how's the weasel fly?
Well, this is a homemade weasel.
Okay.
I hot wired. I built 5 of these. One for me and 4 friends. So it's hot wired out of foam insulation board. I haven't flown this one yet. I haven't flown mine yet. 3 of the guys that I flown them, and they look like they're a lot of fun. They're a little twitchy in pitch.
Yeah, all planks are.
Planks. So what do you want? But no, man, I can't wait to fly this
That's
thing.
cool.
It's-
Yeah, planks and wings are all short coupled in pitch, so they're going to be twitchy. But
Yep.
I mean, honestly, that's why. I mean, all my planes, when I set up my radio, one of the first things that I set up my low band high rates, and all my rates have got like 50 to 70% expo because I come from flying so many wings. Where you need that resolution, you need that dead band. Yeah. Anyway, I should probably get going.
So should we.
We again, we appreciate you coming on.
My pleasure, man.
You're probably one of the best spokesmen for the community that we can have. So I mean, just dude, we've been watching you for a while, and
yeah, you do
impressive,
amazing stuff. Dude.
Yeah, you do amazing stuff, and we can tell where your heart is, and that's what this community is about, and you bring it in spades, man. I mean, you really do. And
thanks.
And we want to say thank you, and I know the rest of the guys, Joel, Ben, Greenawalt, Eddie Black, Dan, Dale, everybody. I mean, I guarantee you they watch what you do, and they appreciate what you do and all that, and we just we feel real good that you were willing to come on and talk to us, and can't wait. Hopefully you get out to East.
Yes,
absolutely.
Crossing all the fingers and toes I can.
Absolutely, because I don't guess I got to meet you last year when you were out there. I don't know. We
were close. I think I maybe shook your hand once around the Gothagaggle time.
Probably, but that was the first year that I realized that people recognized me for my voice, and I was just like in shock the whole time I was there, because I couldn't walk like 30 feet without somebody going, "Hey, it's Mike Finley," and it just freaked me out. And I'm still not. I wasn't aware of you at that point as much. I knew. And I didn't know at that time. I didn't put it together, but I knew Josh Orchard because he did the bomber. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it was I won. I was the last one in the air. I got the bomb.
You were the bomb. Oh my God.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yes, I know. I shook your hand then.
So yeah, I was there.
You.
And I had and my son with me there in the goggles.
Yes. Oh my God. All right. See. Things,
but I still have. I put up that poster that Rasterize made. Was it Rasterize that made him?
Yeah.
Yes.
Stephen Rose with Rasterize.
Yeah. So I put that. I've got that hanging up at work. People walk by my cube like, what in the world is that poster with all those little planes?
Yeah. Yeah. That was awesome, dude. Because it was you left. We were the last two up.
Well, I'll cop to it. I went through 3 batteries. I relaunched.
Well,
Mike went through 2. Don't feel bad.
I went through 2. and yep, I'm going ahead and
then the last one I climbed up. I climbed up really high, and I just kind of hung out. I would dive down on people once in a while, but I just kind of was like, I'm just gonna fly recon for a while.
See? All right. Well, it's on this year then.
All right. Okay, hang on a sec. Obi, come here. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna get my son over here.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, that was great, man. Now,
yeah, so
all right. Now I know.
Fun. I think we still have that somewhere.
I know.
Obi, my son Oberon. He's been playing with that bomb all year.
Oh, has he? Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's an Orchard build special right there.
So what we're seeing here is Ben wins all the contests at Flite Fest.
I see that. Yeah.
There's my boy.
Hey, Obi, how are you?
I'm good.
Hey, buddy.
That's awesome. Yep, he's grown up right, man.
They think you're pretty
Absolutely. Cool. Yeah, I remember it from last year.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember now.
There you go.
I absolutely remember now. That's amazing. He's a lucky kid, and you're a lucky dad.
Oh man,
Yep.
you have no idea. I'm so blessed. Alrighty
Well, I
then.
tell you what, man, you go ahead and take care of your family and all
Yeah.
that. And again, we
Yep.
appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure. My pleasure. You're very
Anytime
welcome.
you want to come on, let us know and we'll fit you in. Absolutely. Very interesting. And like I said, you've done a great job out there with the vlogs and everything. So appreciate that because I did kind of feel like I was there. I wasn't helping.
Absolutely. I look forward to your vlogs every day.
Yes, I did. Yep.
Well, that's why I did it. So I'm glad.
Yep.
I got to keep doing it. Gosh darn it.
Yeah. Well, see how that happens. So,
all right. Well, don't.
Anyway.
It's not going to be like that every day.
No, I hear you. But anyway, thanks again, Ben. I'll get your information so we can link it down here in the show notes.
Yeah.
Because I want everybody to go out and see your stuff because you do really good stuff and
Thanks.
look forward to hopefully fingers and toes crossed to see you at East.
Yep,
definitely.
And we'll talk again before East for sure because I do want to get you back on. So
yeah, I'll be around.
All right.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. It was a blast. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Love talking airplanes.
Yeah,
that's what we
always
do.
Love talking, airplanes and friendship, man. Ain't nothing like it. So, absolutely. So again, Ben, thank you very much, sir. Have a good one. And for everybody out there listening, we appreciate you listening to us. Make sure we will get the links out there and make sure to go out and check out Ben's channel because he does some really neat stuff. And keep an eye out for him on the forums. And what's your name out on the forums?
I am Mid7 Night.
Mid7 Night. So go out there and look for his stuff out on the forums, and everybody enjoy flying. And I'm going to do the Joel thing and say blue skies. And Pat, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you, and we'll see you. I believe it's the 7th. Am I correct?
7th. Should we say who we're having on?
I guess we can. Well, we can say that this guest should be on with us the 7th. We're going to double check and make sure that she is okay to come on for the 7th. So keep your eye out for the possibility of having Jen Bixler in the Flight Test Community Podcast.
We're going to find all kinds of stuff out about Josh.
We're going to find out about a little bit of everybody, I think.
That's going to be awesome.
So again, thanks, guys. Signing off. Blue skies. Take care. God bless. Oh, wow. Ben left.
He did. He bailed. That's cool.